Hey guys, it's Aaron. Uh, Last week we did a video on drawing filigree and we talked a lot about the Bezier curve extension from SketchUp. So it's kind of an extension, kind of native tool. It's kind of somewhere in between there. It's from the SketchUp team. We just used it in its most basic method, which is just a couple of clicks and 2 points to define an arc. Real good for creating, half circle-y shapes that aren't perfectly a chunk of a circle like you would with the arc command. But when you start Bezier curve, there's this thing called degree down the lower left corner, and lower right corner, excuse me. And I just want to dive into what that is. So last week we had a long workflow video. This week is going to be a little more focused on just how that one piece of the command works. So without any further ado, let's talk about Bezier curve and degree. Okay, so I have these lines just to use as reference. They're just a bunch of gray lines in a group, so I can use these as reference, but I'm not going to actually create any geometry. I'm going to come in here to draw, click Bezier curve. So when I first click Bezier curve, you see down low right, it says degree 3. I don't know what degree means specifically, how that term came up, but what that means is once I pick the start point, I'm going to click 3 more points to define the curve. So here, let's just walk right through it right now. So I'm going to start. This is click number 0. Now I'm going to click 3 times to find this curve. 1 to define the end. 2 is going to define the curve coming off of the start point. So this is why I have this grid here to use as the same. And then click number 3 is the line to define the curve off of the end point. And click right here. So this is what that degree changes, is how many clicks you have to define this curve. So no matter what I draw, no matter how big or small or how many curves, this is always going to be a 20 segment line. That's what Bezier curve does, 20 segments. But changing that degree lets you change how many control points basically you use when you create this. So let me show you something, just a way to make a minor adjustment. I'm going to bump that degree up by 1. So I'm going to go to Draw Bezier Curves. Before I click anything, I'm going to type in 4. And now I'm going to come in, click my point 0, and I'm going to click my end for 1. And now it's going to say same thing, curve coming off here for 2. Now look at this second point. Now I'm connected to both. So I'm going to come right here to the middle of this point and snap. And now I'm going to come down here and snap for number 4. So you can see it seems like that would give you the same thing, but by putting that middle control point in there, it actually gave this curve and this curve a second point to kind of pivot and stretch off of. So it looked like it would give you something very similar because this point actually crosses right at the middle line. So does this, but you can see that the curve balloons up a little bit because you had that extra control point here. All right, let's take that just a little bit further even. Let's come in here and draw a Bezier curve. And this time I'm going to bump it up to 5. All right, so I'm going to click number 0, 1, then go back to the beginning, 2, 3, 4, 5. So look at that. Look how much that drastically changed that curve from the beginning. Again, all 3 of these, if I was to draw one line right across the middle, you can see that every single one of them intersects at the middle of that line, each one, but because of the number of control points, the number of points that pull at that line, I get a drastically different curve on each one of these. And that's just by changing that degree value when I go in to define the lines, the points that create that Bezier curve. Okay, so like I said, this was a brief one. This is longer what we could do in a quick win to show it at that detail and hopefully help you understand how that works. But I felt like I still had to cover it because it was actually kind of like an aha moment when I went in and started playing with that. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I've used the Bezier command for years and always limited myself to 3 clicks. And now I know that I can get a lot more control in defining those arcs just by increasing that degree, giving me more points to click to create that kind of curve. So hopefully you like that. If you did like it, click down below. And if you haven't already, click on subscribe as well. We create several videos a week around here, and you'll be notified of each and every one of them if you subscribe. Most importantly, though, please leave us a comment. Most, if not all, of our content nowadays is derived from the comments from viewers like you. We like making these videos a lot, but we like them even more when they're showing something you want to see. Thank you.